If you didn't know, the current version of the PMP exam has an expiration date, and that date is effectively July 8th, 2026. The Project Management Institute is launching a radically new version of this exam, and this isn't a minor refresh, it's a total reimagining of what it is to be a project management professional. The clock is officially ticking, and you have a decision to make that will shape your entire certification journey. Do you race to pass the current version of the exam that we know and understand, or do you wait to tackle a new, much more complex format? In this video, I'm going to break down the massive changes that are coming to the exam, what they really mean for you, and give you an urgent prep plan that you need to make the right choice. So let's get into it. First, we need to talk about the core shift and why your PMP study guide is about to be outdated. Now, you may be asking yourself, why is PMI changing this exam? And the answer is that they always do, but this time it's a little bit more complex. The world of project management is changing at a very rapid pace, and PMI had to adjust. The profession isn't just about managing processes anymore. It's about delivering real business value. And the clearest evidence for this change in PMI's opinion is actually in the dramatic rebalancing of the 3 exam domains on the new PMP. This is not a small tweak, this is a major shift. Right now, the exam is heavily weighted towards the process domain, which makes up around 50% of your score. Next to that is the people domain, which makes up around 42% of your score. And last is the business environment domain, which has a tiny 8% impact on your score. But starting in 2026, all of that gets turned on its head. The process domain drops from 50% to 41%. The people domain also gets cut from 42% down to 33%. And the greatest change will come in the business environment domain, which is skyrocketing from just 8% to a massive 26%. That's more than triple in importance. And it's a very loud and clear signal from PMI that the business environment is going to be their focus moving into the future. This means understanding things like business strategy, governance, compliance, and benefits is no longer a nice-to-have skill for a project manager. It's now becoming a core competency. This new exam isn't just testing what you know. It's testing how you think, how you make decisions, and how you will guide projects to deliver tangible value. With the new exam always comes new content. So what can we expect here? The shift in the exam introduces entirely new topics that reflect the modern project landscape. There's 3 critical pillars that you must know and understand. The first pillar, of course, is AI. Artificial intelligence is being formally integrated into this exam, and you're going to be expected to understand a number of different AI use cases. Everything from predictive analytics to how to spot risks earlier, how AI can help you optimize resources, and even automate reporting. The exam is also going to touch on the ethics of AI, things like data privacy and algorithmic bias. Project managers are now expected to be AI literate and know how to use it as a tool to make better project decisions and become more proficient. By the way, we have a full course dedicated to this very topic, AI and project management. Check the link in the description if you'd like to learn more. The second major pillar of change is going to be sustainability. Now, for the first time, sustainability is being treated as a core requirement throughout the project lifecycle. And this means you'll need to know how to factor in environmental, social, and economic impacts into your project decisions. Third, and arguably the most important pillar, is the focus on outcome and value delivery. The new exam is going to redefine what success actually means for a project. It's no longer about finishing on time, on budget, and within scope. Success is now defined by the actual outcome. So in other words, what measurable business value did your project create? And this requires a much deeper level of stakeholder engagement. If you want to make sure that your project stays connected to the organization's strategic goals and objectives, you're going to have to think like those leaders. These 3 pillars are also underpinned by the rebalancing of core methodologies. The current exam has a roughly 50-50 split between predictive and adaptive approaches. The new exam is going to focus in more heavily into how we actually work today. And so they're increasing agile to around 60% and lowering predictive methods to around 40%. But the key here is to focus on hybrid methods, not one or the other. This actually reflects the reality that most projects operate in, that messy hybrid middle ground, and you need to be able to tailor your approach when necessary. The exam is going to test you on this. Next, let's talk about the actual exam experience, because it's not just the content of the exam that's changing. The entire testing experience is being modernized to be a lot more interactive and realistic. First, let's talk about the basic structure. The total number of questions will be 180, with 170 of them actually being scored. To compensate for added complexity, the total exam is increasing from 230 minutes to a full 240 minutes, or 4 hours. You'll also get 2 10-minute breaks during the exam. That's pretty standard, but one of the most significant changes is the introduction of new question types designed to test your judgment, not just your memory. You need to get ready for practicum-style questions and scenario blocks. What this means is that you'll be given a detailed case study, for example, a few paragraphs of text, maybe a chart, maybe a project dashboard, and then you'll have to answer a series of questions based on that single scenario or example. And if you misinterpret any of the initial data in the scenario, you're going to risk getting the entire chain of related questions wrong, which to me adds another level of difficulty to this exam. You'll also see a lot more interactive formats, a lot of drag and drop, a lot of matching, a lot of point and click questions where you might have to identify issues on a diagram, for example. And all of these new formats are designed to do one thing: simulate real-world decisions that you have to make as a project manager. PMI wants to know how you think under pressure, which leads a lot of folks to the next question. Is this new exam harder? I would say that the answer is mixed. It's yes and no. The PMP is probably not harder in the sense of requiring more memorization of formulas or processes. You're going to have to do that anyway. And in fact, most people think that these new real-world questions are a lot more intuitive than just the abstract theory. However, the exam is becoming more demanding in a different way. It's designed to be a lot more realistic, and as we all know, reality is very complex. The new exam is going to test your critical thinking, your strategic judgment, and your ability to make decisions with incomplete information, just like on a real project. The move to long scenario-based questions just means that you can't rely on keywords or memorization so much. You actually have to deeply analyze the situation and apply principles in a very nuanced way. And for many, this will feel much more challenging than simply recalling a formula or memorizing a process. Now, the consensus is that the exam isn't necessarily getting harder, it's just getting more relevant, more real, and that relevance requires a deeper level of thinking. Now, before we get into the final critical section of this video, which is actually your decision in how you're going to approach this, if you're finding this breakdown valuable and you want to stay ahead of these PMP changes, make sure you subscribe to this channel and put a like on this video, just in case someone else needs to know this information. I'm going to be releasing a lot more videos on these type of topics as we get closer to June and this PMP exam is going to change on you. We want to make sure that you guys are ready. So last but not least, let's talk about how you can prep for these changes in the PMP. And this is where the rubber actually meets the road. You really only have 2 clear paths in front of you, and you need to decide which one is right for you relatively quickly. Now, the first path is to pass the PMP exam before July 2026. I would call this the path of certainty. If you're already deep into your studies, you have a lot of momentum going, you have a date already picked, I would recommend to stay on this path. The advantages are very clear. The study materials are mature, the question patterns are very well understood, and you can learn from thousands of past test takers who have taken this version of the exam. You won't necessarily have to master all of the new topics of AI and sustainability, and you can focus heavily in the process and people domains because the business domain hasn't expanded yet. But fair warning, if this is your choice, timeline is everything. You should aim to take your exam no later than June of 2026. Do not wait. Finalize your study plan, book your exam date, and give yourself a hard deadline to get this done. This is a race now against the clock, and that window is closing. Now, path number 2 is to prepare for the new exam in July 2026 or later. And this is what I would call the path of future alignment. If you're just starting your PMP journey, or if your work is already focused heavily on business strategy, AI, or hybrid models, waiting for the new exam may actually be a very smart move. This path is going to allow you to learn the skills that PMI has identified as critical for the future of the profession. But again, fair warning, your preparation for this new exam has to be a lot different than the one for the current exam. You're not going to really need all of your old study plans, and you have to shift your focus, actually starting now. Here's a list of things that you're going to need to start studying now to prep for the new exam. Number 1, prioritize business acumen. You want to start reading about organizational strategy, governance, and business value. You need to start to think like a business leader, not a task manager. Number 2, build knowledge around how AI works in project management as well as sustainability. You want to find resources on how AI can be used in project management, just like the courses that we teach at AIMPM. You also want to understand all of the fundamentals about integrating sustainability practices into your projects. This is no longer optional. Step number 3. Master hybrid methodologies. You want to learn how to blend predictive and adaptive approaches in your projects. I think the toughest questions are going to be somewhere in that messy middle where you have to make them work together or decipher which methodology is best to use in a given scenario. Number 4, practice scenario-based thinking. When you're doing your practice questions, don't just look for the right answer. Analyze the entire scenario and start to ask yourself why one choice is better than another in a specific context. AI can help out with this tremendously. And I think we're going to do a video to show you how some of these scenario questions can be set up and have AI grade you throughout the process. This is a great way to prep for this exam. Now, if you're looking for updated learning materials, you can expect those to drop sometime around April 2026. And if you're going to choose the new exam path, just be ready to pivot to those new materials as soon as they're available. Or if you're interested in learning how AI works in project management today, check that link in the description. So, in conclusion, most people still may not know which way they want to go. Ultimately, the choice is yours. But if you were to ask me, I would go for the new exam if I didn't have my PMP already. And the reason is simple. By studying for the new PMP exam, you're going to be learning a lot of future-proof skills that PMI finds very valuable. So it makes a lot of sense to go for the new exam. And the fact of the matter is this, the PMP is never going to get any easier than it is today. It's evolving to become a much more accurate reflection of a modern project leader's responsibilities, and that's something that I can appreciate. So whether you're choosing to accelerate your studies to go and pass the current version of the PMP, or if you're going to embrace the new format and go after the new version, the choice is completely up to you. But one thing you cannot do is afford to wait on your PMP. Do not become a project manager without having this goal in mind. This is what separates you from the six-figure PMs if you don't already have one. If you're going for your PMP, this is a great guide that you can use to start to prep yourself for what's coming. The deadline is set and the new standard for project management is coming. Now you need to decide how you're going to meet that standard. As always, we're interested in knowing how you folks are going to approach these challenges. So if you have a strategy, leave it in the comments. You may help someone out. Or if you need a little guidance, leave it in the comments. We're happy to help you guys out. And please don't forget to like and subscribe if you learned something new today. I know I did. That's why I brought it to this audience so that you folks can know about the changes that are coming with the PMP. So until next time, it's Lawrence, it's AIMPM, and we'll see you soon. Take care.